Hi, and welcome to Jamie deRoy and Friends. This week we have an exciting show for you. So to start us off, over at the Palace Theater, An American in Paris has opened to rave reviews. It's got a score by George and Ira Gershwin. The book is by Craig Lucas, and it's directed and choreographed by Christopher Wheeldon. The cast stars Robert Fairchild, Leanne Cope, Vianne Cox, Jill Pace, Brandon Uranowitz, and Max Van Essen. An American in Paris is set in post-war France. It's a very romantic story and has some of the most incredible dancing that you have seen. Here are some scenes.
It's made my life so glamorous. You can't blame me for feeling amorous. Most wonderful, marvelous, that she should care for me.
The revival of Skylight has opened on Broadway at the John Golden Theater. It's written by David Hare and it's directed by two-time Tony Award winner Stephen Daldry. It has a stellar cast. It includes Carey Mulligan, Bill Nighy, and Matthew Beard. Here is a look.
There's no problem, it's all in hand.
What? No, really, what are you thinking?
Are you putting the chili in first? No, it's just, I usually, I fry the chili so it infuses the oil.
Aha. I see, I don't do that. I'm doing it the way I prefer.
Royal Shakespeare Company's production of Wolf Hall 1 and 2 has opened on Broadway at the Winter Garden Theater. It runs only through July 5th. You can see these on 2 different days, but I highly recommend, if you can, to see them both on the same day. Wolf Hall Parts 1 and 2 is an incredible look at the high intrigue in the court of King Henry VIII. Here is a look. In 1989, Wendy Wasserstein won both the Tony Award and the Pulitzer Prize for her play, The Heidi Chronicles. Well, now it's on Broadway at the Music Box Theater, starring Elizabeth Moss, Jason Biggs, and Bryce Pinkham. This version is directed by Tony Award winner Pam McKinnon. Well, we happen to have a very special interview with Wendy Wasserstein. Wendy died way too young at age 55. This was filmed for Broadway, The Golden Age. I thank Rick McKay for sharing this uncut version with us. And in Wendy's memory, have a look.
I grew up in New York and I grew up going to Broadway. I used to take dancing classes at the June Taylor School of the Dance on 56th and Broadway. And then my folks used to pick me up and take me to Broadway matinees. And my mother, who's a dancer, her name is Lola, particularly loves shows, just as always. And so on Saturdays, we'd pretty much land up going to Broadway shows, or we went to Radio City a lot too. But that was, so very much, I grew up seeing Broadway shows in the late 50s. The first Broadway show I ever saw, I think, was My Fair Lady. So that's pretty great. I remember seeing Fiddler on Broadway as well. I think I saw Fiddler many times on Broadway, actually. But it was always the ones, not the grand ones that I remember so well, but the sort of lesser known ones. I remember seeing Do I Hear a Waltz? And I remember very clearly seeing Ray Bolger in All American, Margaret Leighton in Chin Chin. I obviously was very upset by Chin Chin with Margaret Leighton and Anthony Quinn. Chris Durang loves that story. He can't understand how I landed up going there. I saw all of the Neil Simon plays, endless Neil Simon plays, which I quite liked. I actually admire his work. I do remember seeing Seascape by Edward Albee with my parents sitting right in the front. And also all those great musicals like Sweet Charity with Gwen Verdon by Cy Coleman, who I'm very happy to be working with now. I remember seeing, what was it? Oh, well, all the Fosse, the original Chicago. Yeah. Gwen Verdon and Chita Rivera. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I saw Jenny with Mary Martin, Jenny falling down a waterfall. I love No Strings, starring Diane Carroll by Richard Rodgers, and I must have been around 11 or so, but I just loved it. I remember they sang Maine is the Main Place, and I thought, oh, it's so wonderful. Yeah, and I loved them. And we didn't even go with any specific itinerary. It wasn't like, my parents were pretentious people or anything. I always joke that, no one's parent says to them, please, darling, become a not-for-profit theater writer. It's what we really want from you. I think I very much became a playwright because I grew up seeing plays, And so you begin to, one's imagination goes into that realm. I mean, it was great. It was totally great. It was interesting because years later when my play, The Sisters Rosenzweig, was on Broadway, I always thought that play seemed like it was written by somebody older than me. And I thought it was because I had grown up. It was my imagination of the plays that I had seen when I was growing up. Someone like Jane Alexander walks on stage in a lovely living room and, she's elegant and you laugh and you cry and she goes off. But I loved going to plays then. The thing that I remember as a child a lot was I couldn't believe grown-ups made their living doing this. I thought you grew up and then you became a doctor or you became a mother or, you became, but the thought that you got to act, or do that sort of thing, it just seemed so great to me. And it always seemed to me sort of a reason to live in New York. The reason to live in New York was going to the theater. The first play I had produced was called Any Woman Can't, and it was produced at Playwrights Horizons when it used to be on the Y on 50th and 8th Avenue. And it was right across the hall from the Clark Center. And how I got my first play produced was Louise Roberts, who used to be the receptionist at the June Taylor School of the Dance, became the receptionist. She ran the Clark Center. She was a very famous woman among dance circles. And she ran into my mother on the street, and my mother told Louise I was writing plays, and Louise said, send me Wendy's play. And she gave it to Playwrights Horizons, and Bob Moss was then the artistic director. And my first play was done in 1973 before I went to Yale Drama School. I loved it, and that's why I went to drama school, from having that play done. Going to the Tony ceremony was thrilling for me because, you know, you never assume, oh, you know, I'm going to win a Tony Award. I certainly never did. I remember the entire thing. William Ivy Long, who's my great friend from drama school, made me a dress, who's a multi-time Tony Award winner, who did the costumes for Chicago, made me a lovely dress. And Andre Bishop was my date. And I was extremely nervous, and all I kept thinking about is, should I wear my shawl or should I not wear my shawl, and how do you get up and wear a shawl, and what should I say and what shouldn't I say, and how long do you speak? But it was thrilling. It was completely thrilling.
What went through your head when you heard your name?
Oh God, should I wear the shawl or shouldn't I wear the shawl?
The winner of the American Theater Wing's Tony Award is the Heidi Chronicles.
I was the first woman to win a Tony Award for Best Play. A couple won at the Hackett's for Diary of Anne Frank, but I was the first woman to win it alone. Did it change my life? Well, then you're always like the Tony Award winning, you know, author.
It's an honor to be here tonight. I'm a New Yorker, and my parents took me to Broadway matinees every Saturday, so this means a great deal to me.
You know, when you're an artist, you have to always go back to work, frankly. So you could only, you know, ultimately, you go back and face a page, and then you deal with production, and you deal with, you know, availability of actors and set designs and opening a show, as you always do. So in some ways, it makes you possible to continue in your life as an artist.
I want to thank my family who took me to the theater. And one last word, which is for women playwrights, I think this is great for all of us. Thank you.
Can you tell me where you think Broadway's going?
You know, I think Broadway's changed a lot, but it's still there. I mean, what I'd like to see is more new American plays on Broadway. I think that's extremely important. But, you know, every spring, there's always an article that says Broadway's back and we're so amazed. And then you think, it's always there. We're there. People love plays. And my conjecture is people will love plays even more. The more there are 500 satellite channels and, you know, internet and this and that, live communication, what touches the heart, what touches a community, what makes people laugh together, what makes people cry together, becomes more important.
On April 5th, the theater and cabaret world lost one of its greats. Julie Wilson passed away at age 90. On Broadway, she was known for Kismet, Jimmy, and Legs Diamond, for which she received a Tony nomination. In the cabaret world, there was no better. When I first came to New York, I used to go see her at the Masonette, where she held court. She was everybody's friend in cabaret, and everybody loved Julie Wilson. Well, years ago, she did appear with us on Jamie DeRoy and Friends, and here is one of those songs.
It's feather time in the old corral. Play a dirty rug. In old Savannah, I said Savannah, the weather there is nice and warm. The climate's of the southern brand. But here's what I don't understand. They've got a gal there, a pretty gal there, who's colder than an Arctic storm. Got a heart just like a stone. Even icemen leave her alone. They call her hard-hearted Hannah, the Vamp Savannah, the meanest gal in town. Leather is tough, but Hannah's heart is tougher. She's a gal who loves to see men suffer, to tease them and thrill them, to torture and kill them is her delight, they say. I saw her at the seashore with a great big pan. There was Hannah pouring the water on a drowning man. She's hot-hearted Hannah, the Bradford Savannah G.A. Second chorus. You ought to see her, you ought to see her. Outside she's just as soft as silk, but socially she's hard as nails. She's just a gal who hates the males. And when she's nasty, ooh, when she's nasty, she's about as sweet as sour milk. Nothing she likes better than feeding poison food to a man. They call her a hot-hearted Hannah, the Bradford Savannah, the meanest gal in town. Talk of your cold, refrigerating mama's brother. She's a polar bear's pajamas. To tease him and thrill him, to torture and kill him is her delight, they say. An evening spent with Hannah sitting on your knee is like traveling through Alaska in your beaver D's. She's hot-hearted Hannah, the fat cup Savannah, gee, oh yeah.
This time of year is one of the busiest times. Between shows opening on Broadway, off Broadway, and in cabaret, you're never at a lack of things to do. At 54 Below, on April 21st, you have 2 times to catch 54 Sings the Beatles. It stars Constantine Morales, Mary Testa, David Perlman, Lauren Fox, among others. Also at 54 Below, multi-award winner Jennifer Sheehan will be bringing 4 shows to the club on April 23rd and 29th and May 9th and 20th. Over at the Cafe Carlisle, from Tuesday, April 21st through May 2nd, is John Pizzarelli and Daniel Jobim, celebrating the music of Antonio Carlos Jobim. In addition to Birdland's regular jazz performances, there's Broadway at Birdland. The series continues on Monday, April 20th with Natalie Douglas bringing her show Hello Dolly, the music of Dolly Parton. And on Sunday, April 26th, Victoria Shaw Under the Covers with Robin Meade and Constantine Morales. On Monday, April 27th, Brian Gallagher's CD release party, All That's Ahead, featuring his gorgeous wife, Megan Hilty. And on Sunday, May 17th, Jamie DeRoy and Friends celebrates Tony Award winners and Tony Award winning musicals. Down at the Metropolitan Room on April 26th and May 3rd is Brenda Braxton. Her show's entitled Act Two, Now What? Brenda Braxton was nominated for a Tony Award for her performance in Smokey Joe's Cafe. Also at the Metropolitan Room on May 1st and May 9th, Giselle Wolfe brings her show, A Celebration, to the club. Here's Giselle.
Hit it! I can cook too. On top of the rest, my seafood's the best in the town. Yes, I can cook too. My fish can be beat. My sugar's the sweetest around. I'm a man's ideal of a perfect meal, right down to the demi-tasse. I'm a pot of joy for a hungry boy. Baby, I'm cooking with gas. I'm a gumdrop, a sweet lollipop, a brook trout right out of the brook. And what's more, baby, I can cook.
And to celebrate the 25th year of Bugs Bunny at the Symphony, there's 4 shows over at Lincoln Center, May 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2 shows on Saturday. Here's a look at Bugs Bunny with the New York Philharmonic. And something else very special. On Monday, May 4th, the New York Pops 32nd birthday party. It's a gala under the direction of music director Stephen Reinecke with an array of stars. It honors brother and sister Rob Marshall and Kathleen Marshall. It takes place at Carnegie Hall, and it's not to be missed. At the 92nd Street Y, Lyrics and Lyricists presents Irving Berlin, All Singin', All Dancin', Irving Berlin in Hollywood. He wrote more Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movies than any composer. This event is being written by Barry Kleinbort and choreographed and directed by Randy Skinner. And it has very special guests of Sandy Duncan and Don Correa. And one very special night at Carnegie Hall, April 29th, Audra McDonald will be there. I know I will be. I hope you will be too. Audra McDonald has won 6 Tony Awards, the last one being for last season's Lady Day at Emerson Bar and Grill by Lainey Robertson.
Oh, what a little moonlight can do. What a little moonlight can do to you. You're in love, your heart's a flooding all day long. You only started 'cause of your part-time, just will not utter the words, I love you.
Playing through April 26, Sequences at City Center. It's brought to you by the circus company that helped create Pippin. Hand to God has opened at the Booth Theater to rave reviews. It's written by the American playwright Robert Askins, directed by Moritz von Steupnagel, and it stars Stephen Boyer, Mark Kudish, Sarah Stiles, Geneva Carr, and Michael Oberholzer. In this high-paced comedy, the students at the Christian Puppet Ministry try to put their Bible teachings into practice.
Hey, y'all! My name is Rita, and I love Jesus. Do you love Jesus? Where is everybody at? Jesse, you gonna finish?
Jolene.
What, you gonna finish Jolene today?
I guess.
Whoa. Jesse, how much of that stuffing do you need?
You said I could make her look like a walnut.
Well, yes, but what is all that for?
Puppet boobs.
Shut up, Timothy.
It's not my fault you got no tits.
Hello, Tim.
I think you look nice.
Oh, thanks.
Dude, I can see your boner from here.
Timothy, stop it. That is enough.
What? I'm the one that's forced to look at a boner. I'm the victim here.
Timothy, you cannot see his boner.
Mom?
Gigi, the Broadway musical, has opened at the Neil Simon Theater. It's based on the book by Colette. It's also taken from the score of the movie, which won Best Picture in 1959. Gigi has an incredible score by Frederick Lowe and Alan J. Lerner. This new adaptation is by Heidi Thomas, with choreography by Joshua Bergassi and directed by Eric Schaefer. Gigi stars Tony Award winner Victoria Clark, Corey Cott, Dee Hoade, Howard McGillen, and making her Broadway debut as Gigi is Vanessa Hudgens. Here are some scenes.
Carriage ride.
You walked me home.
You lost a glove.
I lost a comb.
Ah, yes, I remember it well. That brilliant sky.
We had some rain.
Those Russian songs.
From sunny Spain.
Ah, yes, I remember it well. You wore a gown of gold.
I was all in blue.
Am I getting old?
Oh, no, not you. How strong you were, how young and gay, a prince of love in every way.
Ah, yes, I remember
Am I a fool without a mind, or have I merely been too blind to realize? Oh, Gigi, why you've been growing up before my eyes. Gigi, you're not at all that funny, awkward little girl I knew. Oh no, overnight there's been a breathless change.